pod cave.
Can we just stay up here all day? It is so crazy down there.
And welcome back to another edition of the Podman. I'm Brad.
I'm Brian.
I'm Podman Ron.
I'm Alex. I'm chewing.
All right, we got the Podmen are all back together, and we got a little bit of stuff to talk about here. Mainly looking back at a few retro reviews and everything. But I guess the big news is a new Spider-Man teaser trailer. Or is it a trailer? They call it a teaser trailer. They call it a trailer. I don't know what it's called, but
it's almost 3 minutes long. It's
a
teaser.
You can't call it a teaser anymore. And we got a couple of new shows, new episodes of What If, and something about Hills or something like that from Brian. I have no idea what that's all about.
We got a new episode of Titans today.
A new episode of Titans. So let's just let's hop into the news. All right, as we talked about at the top there, the big news is Spider-Man No Way Home? No Direction Home? What is
There's
this?
too many homes now. Far From Home was at least a distinction by being 3 words, but now we have another 3-word title. So there's so much confusion in it. But so there's No Way Home.
No Way Home. And I think, again, I think they may have called it a teaser trailer, but they gave away pretty much they're laying out the plot of the movie here. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, right?
There's no subtlety.
And to Alex's point, I'm going to be disappointed if Spider-Man 4 is not homesick.
That would be good.
I think it should be a glimpse into the future and be called Homebody. And Peter's like Dad, like Mr. Mom type thing.
Or homeless.
How about Home Slice?
Home Slice?
Oh.
Home Style?
Never mind. I'm just going to...
Boom.
Yeah, you just need to lay down, Podman Ryan. Well, let's take a little listen to it first.
When Mysterio revealed my identity, my entire life got screwed up. I was wondering if maybe you could make it so that he never did.
Strange.
Don't cast that spell. It's too dangerous. Fine. I won't.
And we get a wink and a nod. Then he does it. So, Podman Ron, why don't you kind of tee up the trailer here? What did we learn from this trailer?
You picked the absolute worst person.
I didn't watch it.
Doctor Strange.
Well, here's what it was. No,
it was good.
It was good. I liked it. It was good. No. It's basically going with the storyline from Peter Parker and when he wanted to get rid of the fact that his identity was exposed to the world. This happened about, 10 years ago, 15 years ago? But instead of using Doctor Strange in that storyline, he used Mephisto, everybody's favorite villain right now.
Yeah, I mean, so let's just pause right there. So now, is Mephisto going to enter in finally? Are we?
Well, they keep saying that Doctor Strange's odd behavior in this trailer could be Mephisto instead of Doctor Strange casting this spell. So it could go along with the way the comic book, which the storyline in the comic book was called One More Day, and it pretty much erased Peter Parker's marriage to Mary Jane.
Not to be confused with the Les Miserables song. Day More.
Because I'm sure listeners would be confused by that.
Yeah, exactly. It erased Harry Osborn being dead. I mean, it kind of erased a good 20 years of continuity in the Spider-Man comic book. So
John Bell should fit into the story.
This is kind of going along the same line, I believe. So
for 20 minutes of the movie, until we have the Sinister Six and Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield.
I still feel like we're going to get at least a hint of Miles Morales before this is all said and done.
I think you're right, too.
Why would they not, right?
Why would they not? But there's also a clue that they kind of said was it Tobey Maguire, or not Tobey Maguire, but Tom Holland said, there's not 3 Spider-Man in this movie. There's 4, right? So, but I think by the end, like even if it's just like a tease, it's going to be okay. The universe is fractured, that sort of thing, and then they tease Miles Morales also came through. Doesn't necessarily appear, but now he's in the MCU. So,
well, what if they bring back the Spider-Man from the '70s, live action '70s show?
That would be good.
What's that guy doing? What's that guy doing right now?
Personally speaking, I want Japanese Spider-Man. I want
He's got to be 80, so probably not a lot.
But they could bring him back just to, have him aging Spider-Man in bed.
Why not?
What's happening?
A female Spider-Man? Are we not going to get a female Spider-Man? A Spider-Woman in this fractured reality?
We're getting that in Secret Invasion, right? I mean, the big rumor is that Emilia Clarke is playing Spider-Woman. Jessica Drew.
Okay.
I have my money on Abigail Brand, but we'll see. I think Abigail, she's going to play Miss Sword Lady herself. But I think the trailer's kind of mid.
It's kind of what?
Like, it's not the greatest trailer of all time. It's just kind of like...
Well, usually the first trailer is not.
But, like, this is... I mean, you're talking about a trailer that, in its day, it's already past in-game in trailer views. It's beat every trailer record so far. Like, but if you really watch it's kind of just...
It's kind of poor. It doesn't. I mean, again, Alex, you and I'm on your side on this one, Alex. It didn't.
I am too.
It didn't excite me to make me say like, "Oh my god, I cannot wait for this fucking movie." I'm like, okay.
Really made me want to go do is watch Spider-Man 2. Like, like when you're looking at and I never had noticed it until I saw that trailer, the shot of Doc Ock in the trailer. But like, there's such a distinction between Sam Raimi directing and John Watts. There's like when in those Sam Raimi movies, the characters look so alive and vibrant, and it looks just so energetic. In this, it's like, oh yeah, it's a Marvel movie.
Okay.
This is pretty dull and generic and kind of
really dull. I mean,
pretty dull. All the colors
how's it dull?
It out and really just like gray. It's just gray everywhere. It's just gray, minus when Doctor Strange is doing his little whoop-de-whoop. But like other than that, like. What's really like?
Even the Sanctum Sanctorum.
I feel
white.
I'm thankful that Dr. Octopus finally figured out how to put a shirt on with the tentacles.
Well, that's good.
So I mean, I'm thankful for that.
Well, this is a variant. Doc Ock, obviously.
No, I think it's the same one.
He's got a very tight button up around his neck. I noticed.
This one, he was wearing a shirt when the reactor exploded. That's the variation.
Yeah, that's the and he has much tighter skin too around his face.
No, I see what you're all saying about this trailer. I mean, I know it wasn't like wow, like action packed, but what it did reveal was, we knew that we were getting Doc Ock, so we got him there in the movie, in the trailer, showed him, but then you got a tease of the Green Goblin with the pumpkin bomb.
Right.
But you also got teases of stuff that we haven't really heard about, like Sandman and the Lizard.
Yeah.
And so you got basically a couple of teases of those that we had no idea that
we almost
could possibly be in it. So now, the network, the net people are going nuts and are, putting together the Sinister Six. So
right.
It means everywhere now about that.
But I think this tune rings oddly kind of familiar, where Spider-Man franchises usually jump the shark in their last or second movie, where they cram a fuck ton of villains in and are like,
right,
go nuts, man, let's do it. And then everyone's like, wow, that was a complete dumpster fire and had so lack of.
It's going to have a lot of people in it, a lot of characters. in it.
Yeah.
Well, and so did Civil War back in the day,
We know
and
at least 2 other Spider-Man. We know there's 6 villains total.
yeah,
Guys, this is
plenty of people.
This is maybe too many people. Like,
and did you say that during Civil War? And
Did you say that during Endgame, Alex?
Yeah, and Endgame. I mean, they had all.
I did. You know what? I did have the same kind of worry during Civil War.
Well, you were wrong.
You're right.
Dead wrong.
But I'm
Dead wrong, son.
that was one of the first Marvel movies I saw where I was like, oh, that was just fine. Like, I don't love Civil War. I don't love it.
I didn't either.
They did do a good job of balancing. It definitely followed the character's story. That's fine. You can love it. I don't really care.
I do.
This is a very familiar tune. Like, this is there's a worry here. Between actorial style and a really bloated cast. That's a really complicated mixture, and I think it needs to be addressed. Not that Marvel isn't good at handling a big cast. That this is a lot.
Well, we can only hope that
just fine.
We can only hope that Morbius gets in there as well, right?
To Alex's point, you've got think about all the beats you've got to hit. You've got Doctor Strange, right? You've got Peter. You've got Peter and Peter. You've got Sinister Six.
A lot of Peter.
Then you've got to wedge in. Now we also introduced J. Jonah Jameson, so he's got to have screen time. And then you've got to develop the relationship with him and Mary Jane. And then when Mary Jane forgets him, and that whole plot line, right? And when Ned, forgets that he's Spider-Man, and then you got to squeeze in Happy, and you got to squeeze in Aunt May. It's like, holy shit! Like you're going to have to hit all of these plot points. It's going to be. Is anything going to have time to actually stick and land?
Is Peter actually going to have growth? It
no one
feels
cares about that. They just want action and new costumes.
It feels like, oh god,
no, I don't want no new costumes.
Well, yeah, you got plenty. You got like 4 of them in this fucking trailer.
Yeah, I know, it's ridiculous.
What's funny is that this could have been Spider-Man 4, and I think we would have been better off because honestly, Far From Home set up a perfect Spider-Man movie and just a simple narrative of Peter. Like that was all you had to do. You had Scorpion, Kraven the Hunter. Call it a fucking day. Jesus Christ. But no, you got it. Spider-Verse was very exciting. People watched the fuck out of it on Netflix, not at the box office, but they watched the fuck out of it on Netflix, and they're like, fuck it. We gotta go. We gotta go.
Do it before DC does.
I just did the quick math. That's 16 characters.
Look at
that they've got that they have to follow a plot thread.
That's why he's our numbers guy.
Right. So you've got to explain where the Sinister Six came from and what their motivations are. You got to explain the other 2 Spider-Man, but then you've got all the carryover stuff from the last 2 movies for the established characters. It could very easily be a clusterfuck.
Not to mention, 2 of these Spider-Man villains were redeemed at the end of their fucking movie.
All villains are redeemed. You know that, right?
Well, yeah.
Darth Vader was redeemed. Every villain, you can't have a villain that's just a pure villain.
Weren't redeemed, or the Lizard, but fucking Sandman and Doc Ock were literally just like, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Peter. The Sandman just fucking dusted into the sky, and Doc Ock was like, "Black."
Man, maybe he's pissed now. Maybe he's got an action.
It's a different version of him, right?
And it's just like you have to explain that. Like Brian's point, you have to explain all of that.
I don't have to explain
I'm
anything.
I'm not going as far as saying I'm not excited to see all 3 Spider-Man on the screen. It's going to be fucking cool, no matter what. Even if the movie sucks, it's still going to be a highlight.
Yeah, I think it's kind of cool that we've now, with them doing this, and if they do put the other 2 Spider-Man, which is what it looks like it's going to, that makes these previous Spider-Man movies part of the MCU now. They're just
Sony
from a different Spider-Man universe.
CU,
yeah, it's a multi-universe, so they're just.
Yeah, but you realize what that is? That's the J.J. Abrams. Nope, that's the J.J. Abrams Star Trek reboot, right? So they rebooted the universe, but they still said everything was still canon.
Yeah.
So,
it's actually, Marvel started this back in the day with What If, so creating their multiverse was with What If. So
that is a good segue.
So there you go.
Well, we'll save that segue. We'll come back to that. I was saying that they in this movie they've got to have the real life version of the Spider-Mans pointing at each other too, right?
Yeah.
They have to do that. Like, you're Spider-Man, you're Spider-Man. Now, my only thought of this that I thought was kind of cool, and I think I may have read this somewhere or another, that somebody said, "Oh, it looks like it's a Marvel team up with Spider-Man and Doctor Strange." And it's like, oh my God, when was the last time I thought about Marvel Team Up, the comic book, where they would pick random characters and throw them into a story that made no sense just for one shot?
but
Right.
30 minutes.
That's what you're right.
And,
Because Marvel Team Up back in the day, back in the 70s at least, when that book was out, because Spider-Man was predominantly, a street level hero. So he never got involved with
right.
magical stuff or cosmic stuff. Except in Marvel Team Up. So then he'd get paired off with a Doctor Strange and he'd be dealing with magic stuff then. So yeah, you're right. That's what this kind of reminds me of a little bit.
I wish we could have just a normal Spider-Man movie again. Wouldn't that be nice?
Just a regular old Spider-Man movie. Well, I miss Marvel Team Up. And Marvel Villain Team Up even.
Super Villain Team Up.
Super Villain Team Up, yeah.
You're getting 6 Team Up. Look at that.
Well, there you go. There you go. All right, well, enough. We spoke 15 minutes about a 2-minute trailer, so lots of speculation here.
2 minutes, 55 seconds.
Thank you, Alex. And hopefully everybody will be happy. Everybody will love it, and it will be fantastic. Nothing else news-wise other than our in memoriam say. I mean, anything else happening out there in the world?
Brian?
Scoop?
Not a lot. Yeah, it's not a lot happening. What is going on my video call?
They showed some Batman footage at CinemaCon, and
I'll be honest with you, I forgot that movie was even coming out. I mean,
it's
been
March
like a year since they showed that first trailer a year ago, and they haven't showed anything in a year.
Well, yeah, because it comes out March 22nd. Like it's a while.
I know, but I don't know. Something should have.
Yeah, so some people saw something from the Batman as well as Matrix 4
and Into the Spider-Verse.
Into the Spider-Verse 2 again, whatever it's called. But yeah, other than that, not a whole lot going on in the world.
Just not. But we are getting into trailer season. I mean, with CinemaCon, that means there's going to be a flood of trailers. And DC fandom, of course, coming up. There's going to be a flood of trailers just coming in slowly as we ramp into the heavy season.
All right. Well, we will look forward to it. And I know, Brian, you wanted to cover one last thing here.
If you're under 30, you don't care.
If in the celebrity death news, the Rolling Stones drummer, we don't even know his name, really. We just listed him as Rolling Stones drummer.
He will be missed.
He will be missed.
I'm being missed.
Charlie Watts.
What you say? All right. Well,
I mean, you cannot just
just
cannot ignore the Rolling Stones.
That's right, Alex.
Drummer. I mean, come on, man.
Respect your history, Alex.
And here I am turning off my mic
and turning off your headsets. Alex, what would you say is your favorite Rolling Stones song?
Dazed and Confused.
Dazed and Confused, that's a good one. Podman Ron?
Oh, I can't get no satisfaction. Is that one?
That is one.
Both of these answers are wrong.
Brian?
It's clearly Sympathy for the Devil.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
Clearly. I've never heard of that song.
Oh my God.
You've probably heard it,
right.
but you don't know the name Sympathy for the Devil. But it's a fantastic song. Yeah, Brian's absolutely right about that. Or if it's not that, then it's got to be the 80s classic Mixed Emotion, right?
Yeah, there you go.
The Stones in the 80s were horrible. I mean,
Stones in the 80s were horrible. To the point where it's like, I didn't get it for a long time because MTV kept trotting out the Stones in the 80s and the 90s, and I'm like, this sucks.
Yeah.
Not until I started listening to the 70s stuff, and the 70s Stones made it back into rotation. I'm like, oh, now I get it.
Oh, well, maybe that's what Alex needs to do then. He needs to, go back in time a little bit and
I really just like their debut album. Like, it's one of those albums that I've really thought about getting on vinyl. I don't know. I love their debut.
Oh, God. We got a vinyl person here. God damn it.
I'm sorry, people. I'm sorry, listeners.
Sorry. He wants to hear every scratch of the recording process.
I'm curious, though, and I didn't research this. Is this the first Rolling Stone to die?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, isn't that wild? Like, Keith Richards is still
Ron
around?
Wood's not dead?
I don't know.
We may never know.
Because no one cares.
Well, there was somebody else. Somebody do some research on it. I got my stuff. But one of them died, but maybe it was the one that, no one really knew.
Dead?
Yeah,
I thought Ron Wood died.
Brian Jones died.
Yeah, but he doesn't count, I don't think.
He was a...
No, Ronnie Wood's still alive. 74.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Think about that. Like, he's the first to die.
Yeah, you may be right.
If we've got if we have the death pool, man, you make it go on a Rolling Stones streak.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, yeah, that's good. We need to get that back up. All right. Well, hey, obviously he will be missed.
Ronnie Woods is still alive. Obviously, Keith Richards and Mick Jagger are still alive,
as far as we know.
The only core member that has died is Charlie Watts.
Wow.
They've got touring members that have died.
Yeah.
But that's wild.
And he was kind of the quiet one. You figured that he would live forever, right? Just fade into obscurity. But.
He was the George Harrison.
Yeah,
right?
Totally. Dark horse. All right. Well, anyway, he's gone. Alex, maybe listen to a little bit of Sympathy for the Devil for us and make your old man happy.
Okay. Even though he doesn't even know it.
No, he doesn't know the song. All right. Over to movies. I think just the movies. We just have the streaming wheel. Is that right, Brian?
We have this. Yeah, we have just the streaming wheel.
All right. Let's head to the movies. And a lack of movies out there as we're all anxiously awaiting for Shang-Chi to drop next week. Is that right?
It is, but Candyman drops this Friday.
Candyman,
who's helming the Marvels.
Yeah. So a lot of stuff happening there. But in the meantime, Brian, again, is kicking it old school, going back to the 70s with Popeye. And it's not the Popeye you may be thinking of, Alex. Uh-oh. Tell us about the French Connection, Brian.
Yeah, Popeye Doyle. So, the French Connection, they actually made a sequel. It's a very good film. In the beginning, it's kind of hard to picture Gene Hackman as a heavy, as a tough guy,
heroic guy.
But quickly enough, you kind of accept it and move on. What's wild is like the influence that this movie had on very popular like TV series and other movies. When you watch this, you're like, oh, like there's lots of tropes that are established in this movie that are done in other films that are like homages to other stuff. But specifically, I'm sitting there watching it. I'm like, man, so much of the DNA of The Wire and even like Breaking Bad to an extent is in the French Connection.
Yeah.
So, very, very good film. And Alex, it's probably the most famous chase scene, vehicle chase scene in all of cinema.
Wait, what's the movie again?
The French Connection.
Yes, I know. Yeah, I know the chase scene you're talking about. I've never seen it, but I know the chase scene.
Yeah, so the chase scene, I think it's like a 12 or 15-minute chase scene.
Right.
It doesn't feel bloated. And what's wild about it is the way it's shot. Obviously, it's not CGI; it's practical effects.
Right.
But the way it's shot is just so impressive, like the cinematography for it. But The French Connection, a great movie. I would give it 5 stars.
All right, give us a real quick, because again, this is one of these movies that everybody's heard of, but maybe not a lot of people have seen. Give us just a 5-sentence synopsis of what the movie's about.
Yeah, so Popeye Doyle is kind of he's kind of a Bosch, right? Like people in the department hate him. You know, he's quick to try and like get an investigation off the ground, kind of like McNulty in The Wire. And sometimes they don't pan out, and people hate him within the department. But they get the case kind of unfolds, and they get wind of. They start tracking this made guy. And it turns into a connection, all for heroin being brought into the country from France.
Okay, all right.
So it's and the ending is ambiguous. Mm-hmm. Right? There's an ambiguous ending. You don't know exactly what happened. Now, when they made the sequel, I mean, that eliminated most of the ambiguity. But so it kind of ends on a cliffhanger. It's good stuff.
All right, very good. And
Alex, I think you would appreciate it as a film student.
Who's the director?
Oh, that's a good question.
Some guy.
Or the writer, both.
I'll look it up.
And do you, while you're looking that up, Brian, do you have a replacement title on Amazon? On Amazon Prime.
Yes, I will have one here. 1 second.
Okay.
Directed by William Friedkin. I don't know why I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot.
Yeah, William Friedkin. And and don't forget, it's Popeye Doyle's partner is Roy Scheider from Jaws fame.
Everybody loves Roy Scheider.
Blue Steel as well.
That's right.
All right, so let's see what I got for my replacement. Hang on.
So has Brian convinced you to watch this movie, Alex?
Yeah, definitely. I right now, especially since I'm sticking my nose in the directorial atmosphere.
A little plug there. Good.
I'm watching a lot to see what I want to take and inspiration, basically, because I'm struggling.
All right.
Did I add Tucker and Dale versus Evil last time?
You did not.
Now, Brad, you've seen it.
Yes. I'll watch it again.
Alex, Ron, have you seen Tucker and Dale versus Evil?
I have not seen
not.
That's my film.
Choice. All
I've
right.
never even heard of it.
And that's on Amazon?
Oh, it's on Amazon Prime.
Beautiful.
Enjoy.
What year is it?
Like 2013, 2014, something like that.
Ago.
Oh, wow.
Relatively new. In the
Alan Tudyk
sense.
Ooh.
Oh, you know
In a
Brian loves
starring
him?
role.
And Alan Tudyk and that fat bearded guy that always plays the best friend.
I need to add something to what you're looking at.
Oh, okay, nice.
Guys, look at me.
Yeah, look at you being engaged in this. All right, so let's go ahead and spin the wheel here. And it looks like Brad is the winner of this one. Congratulations,
All right.
Brad.
Once, I think, on my own.
What's
I
that?
like this. That's
I think
great.
on my own. I won twice. I had, what was the other one? Can't remember. I had that time travel movie.
Yeah.
The samurai movie.
All right, let's see what we got here for Brad. I've already seen it, but I could watch it again. I guess Judas and the Black Messiah. I think Podman Ron, that was your pick.
Yes.
All right. So
We watched it, and I'm very sorry.
what's that?
So we watched it, and I'm very sorry.
I don't know why. Like the wheel turns into revenge. It's like, here's the turn. I'm going to make somebody else watch
He
it.
didn't know that beforehand.
Actually, I'll be honest with you. The wheel I thought was for, movies like
Fucking people over.
No,
No.
movies that are coming on Amazon and stuff that Amazon and them create. These new movies that we don't know about.
Okay.
No,
Now-
so and that was one of the movies that Amazon or one of those streaming
HBO
services
Max.
made.
Right.
We watched it, me and Alex, and it was all right.
See, I take it as it's undiscovered gems.
No, I mean, this isn't undiscovered by any means. I mean,
No, I know. But my picks are
Right,
like undiscovered gems. Everything I put on the wheel, I expect you guys to enjoy.
Well, I'm the same way. I'm not.
I just go random.
I don't put stuff on there just
That's what I do.
fuck with y'all. I just want to see, these movies that pop up on these streaming services that, these streaming services
Right.
create, and I'd like to know if they're good or not. So,
If I'm
Yeah,
gonna
you're
give
wanting us to watch it
To tell you
so that you don't have to unless it's good.
Yeah,
if I'm going to give you a terrible movie, I'm going to give you a terrible movie like Superman 4 or like Jaws: The Revenge. I'm not going to give you like
Joshua Revenge was not a terrible movie, by the way. Let me ask you this: since I've already seen that, do you want to? Should I spin again or
Spin
rewatch
again.
it? Spin again.
again. Because Judas and the Black Messiah, it's just a good movie. Like that's really the.
What do you mean spin it again? Spin again. That's the movie you landed on, Brian.
Oh,
But he's already watched
Well, I've
it.
already seen it.
He's already
Oh,
seen
you
it.
did?
Yeah,
He can
yeah.
give us his review right now.
No, I didn't think you saw it. Sorry.
Yeah.
He's just not listening.
So do you want me to watch it again, Podman Ron?
Sure. No,
No,
spin it again.
I'll say
All right,
spin
spin
it.
it again.
And if 3 out of 4 podmen have watched it, we probably need to strike it.
That's now that everybody has seen it. Yeah. All right. Tucker and Dale versus Evil. So
You're welcome, Brad.
I will watch that one. I've seen it before, but it has been a while. I'm sorry, guys. All right, so I will watch that though.
Brad's watching too many movies.
I know. Well, I'm trying to, pick up some directorial hints there. That's why. Anyway. Anyway.
Young Padawan.
Yes, well, you got to start sometime in your life, Alex. You got to start what the heart loves, what the heart loves. Okay, Alex?
It's true.
All right, so now let's go over to TV Land. And what are the Podmen watching? Well, this Podman's quite behind on everything, so I have not watched anything new in the past 2 weeks. But I understand you guys have, and I understand that Brian is stirring up a little trouble in the What If universe on social media.
He hates What If. Have we talked about episode 2?
Hell,
Did y'all talk about episode 2 yet?
No, we haven't. We haven't talked about episode 2.
Oh God,
Brian, what happened? What's going on with What If? This is
actually okay.
What If was a fine comic book back in the day, I think, right? Mm-hmm. Pairing up some kind of alternate universe and things that were fantastical that you never thought would happen, such as T'Challa becoming Star-Lord. I mean, that seems like that would be a prime thing for What If. But Brian, you're kind of shitting all over it here.
Well, what's wild is I really enjoyed the first episode. Like, I really enjoyed the Agent Carter episode. My only gripe was they just didn't call her Captain Britain, right? But other than that, it made sense. It was a small change to the universe that had big ramifications, right?
And there was a complete and total retread.
But it was nice seeing it from a different perspective. I really enjoyed it. It wasn't a retread. I mean, I don't think it was a retread. I love the dynamic of Steve in the Hydra Smasher suit, and then her, as the Heavy. But the second episode was rough for me. It was rough to watch. It was a lot of nonsensical change just for the sake of change. Like it was, to me, lazy writing. It's like, why what kind of argument? Well, first off, how old was T'Challa when he talked Thanos out of the snap? Like 12? And then, and what argument did he make that not only convinced the Mad Titan not to walk away from his plan, but also to just be like an engineer on in T'Challa's ship? Like, he walked away from his empire. Yeah. Like that had been a pretty great fucking argument, but they didn't tell us what he said, or they just said, man, he talked him out of it. What the? How?
Well, isn't that kind of part of the charm of What If in the first place? Where you would see something like a character would walk by and you'd see Iron Man's helmet and you'd be like, wait a minute, why? Or like in not What If, but in Future Imperfect with Maestro, the future Hulk, and you'd see Wolverine's bone sitting in the corner or something. You'd be like, oh my God, what happened there? But
it's almost like it's the point of the show.
but the problem is, there still has to be an internal logic to it. Okay.
No, not in a 20-minute episode that's focusing on the character arc of one specific character and telling one specific story. We don't have.
There has to be an internal logic where it fits into the greater MCU somehow.
No, there doesn't.
Yes, there does.
That's
Alex.
The beauty of the show.
That's not the beauty of the show.
Backpedal from the MCU and just watch a different world. We don't need to see the elaboration.
But the point is, it is the MCU world until this thing happened. That's the whole point of What If. It's a small change can spin the universe into an entirely different direction.
But the episode is
up until hang on, Alex. Until that change, everything is the MCU. So here's my question to you: if he talked Thanos out of the snap, right?
Right.
And the argument is, well, he talked about the snap, so that's why. And this, I got into it with somebody on one of the Facebook things. It's like, well, what the hell happened to kill the Avengers if they talked about the snap?
Well,
right?
The Avengers probably never existed.
Well, then why the fuck was that Cap's shield in the Collector's vault?
Because he probably fucking found it. Why was there a dark elf in the Collector's vault?
But again, hang on. So, but Tony made the shield for Cap.
This is like saying Howard the Duck in the Collector's vault and going, how'd that get there? like it's the same question. Like we could ask these questions, but what does it? But you're nitpicking. This isn't.
No, I'm not nitpicking. I would like for them. They establish the rules at the beginning of every episode. A small change has rippling effects.
You know what they also do?
So a small change that T'Challa talked Thanos out of the snap, and the Avengers never were assembled, and Tony never made the shield. Then why the hell is the shield sitting in Collector's
Did it say
vault?
that the Avengers never assembled?
Well, that's one argument, is that they never assembled because the snap never happened. But the other argument
that's
is
not why the Avengers assembled to begin with.
Right.
Are we missing the crucial part? That the title of the fucking episode is "What If T'Challa Became Star-Lord?" That's the episode,
and nothing else made any fucking sense.
It doesn't need to because it's
Hold on a minute.
It doesn't need to make sense, Alex.
Podman Ron's got something to say, people. Podman Ron, please interject here.
It's the charm.
For one thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. For one thing, the old What If book from the 70s that started all this was just like this show. I think that's part of the charm of this show is because, like you said, Brian, it has rippling effects. You know, it's like the butterfly effect. One thing ripples out and changes everything. We're not going to know. We can't know exactly what happened to change everything because that would take, good Lord, 3 hours to do. You know, the What If comic book was kind of the same way. There was some weird, you know, they would change one thing, one little incident would change everything, and there would be some weird thing down the line, like, you know, Mary Jane was Spider-Man, and you didn't really know why she was Spider-Man, or, you know, maybe it was just a little, you know, one little panel that would explain it, if that, and it was kind of dumb, but
You just went with it.
you just gotta go with it because it's just the story.
You just got to go with it. But here's the thing: y'all are making excuses for a show in its second episode that they're not. That the writing's gotten loose, and the concept has already lost the plot thread in the second episode.
No,
How did it lose the?
How did it lose its plot? No, I'm sorry. I refuse to accept this logic.
No,
wow.
Well, I'm not going to go on that.
PMR, shut up.
I haven't watched it yet.
No, PMR, stop talking. All I'm saying is the focus of this show, of the episode, is literally in the title. What if T'Challa became a Star-Lord? We're not focused on, like, sure, I actually don't like Thanos in the episode. I think it's kind of dumb. I think it diminishes his character that he gets beat up by 2 of the Black Order. That's dumb. The man 1v1 the Hulk in 1. It's stupid. But the charm of the show, on a basis, is that there's these little Easter eggs and hints of, like, possible episodes, possible futures that we get to see in a season 2,
or just spark your imagination, right?
Much like, exactly.
When we get to episode 3.
Okay.
When we get to,
can I continue? So let me tell you what my opinion is before you guys continue to tell me. No, because
your opinion explicitly. You didn't like it. You thought the writing was poor.
Okay, so we heard that point of why this was a valid episode and a throwback episode of the fond memories of what if Hulk was Conan the Barbarian. But Brian, you're still saying that none of it makes sense, that it's just sloppy writing and the fact that you're throwing things out there just to kind of make fanboys happy, but it's stupid.
Yeah, and so it's a cartoon. I get that. Like, my issue is I just like it when everything is tighter and clicks and locks into place. And we've had that with other Marvel movies and properties and stuff. And I think about the on your left moment. And, like, everything kind of led up to that moment in the film. Everything clicked, and like the whole movie, and even back into, the whole MCU library. So when I see something and it's like they're kind of throwing stuff at a wall and just seeing what sticks, but not taking the time to actually explain any of the stuff they're putting on the screen, that bothers me. And so my whole issue with it is it's supposed to be one slight variation that causes a ripple effect. I found the variation to be kind of tenuous because it's like they got lost. Like they was just
they
kind of
ended up
weird,
in Wakanda
right?
instead of Cleveland or wherever.
Yeah, it wasn't the spider bit Flash Thompson. which, Flash Thompson was on the sign, the field trip, just like Peter was, right? Standing next to Peter. This seemed like a stretch for the setup. Then it seemed like they doubled down on different concepts that didn't pay off or make sense. Like, how did he talk him out of it? Why? Not only did he talk him out of it, he gave up his rule, and Thanos gave up his throne and joined the Ravagers
or whatever.
Like the fact that they threw an Easter egg in, but when the Easter egg kind of contradicts like the where the established universe is at, I'm like, that's not cool anymore. Like,
what was the Easter egg? The Cap Shield?
Cap Shield and Thor's hammer, right?
Ah.
And so it's like, so it's like a paradox at this point. So it's like they're not even sticking to their own rules about they established at the beginning of the episode. That's the stuff that bothers me. Is it's like I want to like it. I want to like it a lot, but you get in these weird things where it's just like they're like, it doesn't have to make sense. It's a cartoon, but it's like no, but it's really cool when it does. It's really cool when everything clicks together and makes sense. And it's tangible. It gives the world it makes it real when those things actually connect, not just, this happened over here and that happened over there. We're not going to explain it. We're just throwing stuff at a wall. That's what takes me out of it. And that's what the first episode, everything clicks. Like everything clicks into place. It's a simple change that makes sense as to the trajectory of the universe. The change wasn't simple, and the trajectory, you can't really map the trajectory or how any of this other stuff happened. And in fact, a lot of it contradicts itself. Well, that's my issue with the episode. We need to do a what if episode here. This is such a controversial show, but let me ask you this. Did the third episode fare any better for you, Brian? I have not watched it yet. I had a choice of watching it or Titans, and I watched Titans.
All right, Podman Ron, Alex, did you watch the third episode? What's the scenario in that one? Do you know? Does anybody know?
Yeah, I watched the third one, and I liked it. I liked it a lot. This is, to me, it just feels like the old what ifs from the 70s, but instead of doing it in the comic books, it's doing the MCU. So you're getting variations of the MCU, and they're doing it. I mean, it's like 30-minute shows, so they're having to cram a lot in, and right. they are probably doing liberties. But like I said earlier, you don't know the ripple effect of what has happened. It's the butterfly effect. This one thing happened, so all this other stuff couldn't happen, and time restraints and probably story restraints, and you're just doing something different. You're not going to know why some of the stuff is the way it is now. But in the third episode, it's what if the Avengers weren't formed? I mean, if they were killed. And I don't want to spoil it for Brian because he hasn't seen it, because it's kind of a mystery of what happens and why it happens. But I liked it. I thought it was really good for a 30-minute episode. Hitting the target and the beats that it did. Did it line up with the MCU movies? I don't know. I mean, it seemed to have. I mean, and you'll know what I'm talking about once you see it. But I liked it. It was entertaining, and at the end of the day, I mean, that's what we're looking for. The old what if comic books. I used to read them. I mean, back then they really weren't. They didn't really have the multiverse like they do now with Marvel. They were just stories back then. You just read them just for the sheer entertainment of to see what would have happened if
Jane Foster would have picked up that fucking hammer.
Exactly. Yeah. Or Spider-Man would have,
joined
the
Fantastic Four.
or joined the Fantastic Four. Yeah. I mean, it was just stories,
That's why I'll eventually watch these episodes. Maybe I'll skip the second one. But first of all, I'm not sure I really like the animation style that I saw. I like it, but there's something very inhuman about it. Because I'm assuming it's all computer generated as opposed to handmade, and that kind of feels the facial expressions and everything feel a little weird to me. But yeah, I'll give it a shot. The one thing that, and I think we said this at the beginning, I completely get it that they're only playing with MCU characters that everybody knows. But how fantastic would it be if they did throw in, some sort of the Impossible Man or somebody like that. Somebody like, holy shit, where'd this come from? They're probably saving him for the Fantastic Four. I get it. But you know what I mean? Just throw in things that people haven't seen in the movies already. Maybe they did. Well, I don't know.
That's kind of the beauty of the way DC has set everything up, is because they can. They can and say, well, it's multiverse. So you can have a TV Flash and a movie Flash. Right. Or you could have this character show up in a TV show and it's not necessarily that character that's going to be in the movie. It's so.
Right. But, all right. Well,
I just, honestly, I mean, of all the TV shows that's come out, Loki, WandaVision, that Falcon show. This has been my favorite.
Wow.
So far. I mean, I really, I just liked seeing the different stories, and I was not really thrilled about the whole, what if Black Panther became Star-Lord or whatever. I thought that was a dumb concept. I was kind of, and I see what Brian is saying about it. It just seems really far-fetched that, he just runs across T'Challa, who just happened to be outside the protective field. It seemed far-fetched to be a what if. It's not a split decision, but
right.
It was, to me, it was an enjoyable story. It was kind of a neat twist about things, the whole Thanos thing. It was dumb, yes. Did it make sense? Not really. But
it was just fun. Good old fun-fashion story.
Yeah, it was enjoyable. It was just enjoyable to see that, Thanos was part of their crew and how everybody, interacted with him. And he was still spouting off, about, that would have worked. I think my plan would have worked. I mean, it was just an enjoyable show. For a 30-minute show, I couldn't beat it. So.
And here, I think there's like the final straw for it for me was it's okay, they're not explaining any of this. But my thought was, okay, well, the fact that there's almost always like a bad repercussion because of what happened in the what if.
Right.
There wasn't a bad repercussion. Star-Lord left Earth, right? Talked Thanos out of it. And so my thought was, well, the Collector's got the shield and Collector's got Mjolnir, so he's killed the Avengers. Because T'Challa wasn't there, that's what the Avengers are dead. So that was the universe was better off, but Earth isn't, right? Earth isn't better off. And then they come back to Wakanda and Earth's fine. And it's like, well,
population seems to be under control.
Yeah. So it's like, well, what the hell happened on Earth? The Star-Lord leaving made the entire universe a utopia, and none of that. But it's like they're not. My thought was, well, at least Earth's going to be in shambles because T'Challa wasn't there, and he was so important to the Avengers. That didn't pay off. And my thought was, well, they're going to come back and Wakanda. The third act is going to be Wakanda's destroyed.
Yeah,
and like that Planet of the Apes kind of thing. And that's why the shield and everything was in Collector's vault. No, Earth's fine. Completely fine.
Well, again, I haven't seen the episode, but that would have probably been a pretty good ending, is to find out he goes back to Wakanda and it's destroyed. And then, there's a little bit of the backstory of, the Avengers fought valiantly to defend it and were killed or
because
whatever.
Black Panther wasn't there, they weren't successful.
Right.
So,
they did go back to Star-Lord, who was working at the Dairy Queen, and who Ego approaches, and it's pretty much, I don't know if they'll do a follow-up story to it, but it's pretty much saying that because Star-Lord wasn't Star-Lord, he was just an employee at the Dairy Queen, Ego approaches him and no one's there to stop him. So there is a pretty good chance that it's bad repercussions, that the universe will be destroyed because of Ego's plan was successful, because there was no Guardians to stop him. So, and that
but Ego's plan wasn't to destroy the universe. The Ego's plan was just to keep living on as a planet. All he would do is take Peter back to his planet and use him to inhabit his body so he could just keep on living. Maybe it wasn't the universe.
Ego's plan was to take over the universe. That's the whole point.
He's planting those pods everywhere.
He put children on every planet and pod everywhere so he could take over the universe.
Yeah.
Some movie.
Yeah, that's why he was back at the Dairy Queen for, is because, that's where
I don't remember them saying that. I remember he was putting the pods everywhere because he was trying to see what would stick, because he knew he was going to die unless he had a new body to inhabit.
Yeah, that's why he was impregnating people. That's not why he was putting pods.
I just thought he was a player.
Well, he was that too. He was Kurt Russell, for God's sake.
Yeah, so what do you expect? All right. Well, hey, if we talked 10 minutes about a 2-minute trailer, we'll talk an hour about a 30-minute cartoon. All right, so let's keep things moving. We'll take a look at we'll have 2 episodes to catch up on. I'll try to catch up on all of them for next week, because now I'm kind of interested in What If. The first episode, I didn't even finish watching it, so all of the discussion here has made me excited to watch it. Another thing that I'm excited to watch that I haven't is Stargirl. Is anybody still watching that?
I am watching Stargirl. Yes.
It seems like a good show, and I liked it. Again, I watched maybe 2 or 3 episodes at the beginning. But I think, again, what we talked about before, the whole Arrowverse and Flash and those type of shows, I kind of, they're good. I just don't know if I care about them anymore. Should I care about Stargirl?
And what's weird about Stargirl is, and Superman and Lois, until like almost the end of Superman and Lois, they treated it like it wasn't Arrowverse, and then Diggle showed up, right? But like for all the hoops they jumped through on Crisis on Infinite Earths, they've really spent a lot of time like distancing themselves from each other's shows, right? So I don't know if Stargirl is in the Arrowverse or not. They've never referenced the Arrowverse to my knowledge. But so this season, it's kind of turning into Smallville, where it's character of the week kind of stuff, right? A mixed bag, right? So like the first episode picks up where last season ended, and they introduced Eclipso, and then teased the Shade, which I'm a huge Starman fan, right? Not Sylvester Pemberton, Star Spangled Kid, Jack Knight Starman. And the Shade was a huge part of that. So the Shade's there. In episode 2 kind of focuses on the Shade, but in episode 1, it's Eclipso is there. Episode 2 kind of focuses on the Shade and what he's doing in Blue Valley. And then episode 3, in episode 2, they introduce Jade Scott, or Jenny Scott, right? Jade, Green Lantern's daughter. And so we've got our first television Green Lantern. And then this last episode introduces the Thunderbolt. And they do a flashback to the old JSA, and you see Johnny Thunder, and you see Wildcat and Stripesy and all. I'll put it to you like this. The Thunderbolt is voiced by Jim Gaffigan. So, there's a lot of what's that?
I want another hot dog. I'm so fat.
Does he whisper? Do the whisper bit like that?
Yeah, there was a lot of the whisper bit, and it was like he was trying to channel Robin Williams. Like they were really going for the Aladdin.
Okay, that doesn't sound good, but interesting.
It wasn't great. It was funny, but I guess it was funny. Like my kids liked it a lot, but and again, is it
right?
Do I want it made for me? Yes. Am I somebody they want as a key demographic? Probably not. But it's fine. It's good. But it's not. It's like Smallville. Yeah. It's not even Smallville season 4. It's like Smallville season 9. Like
that's way. It's off.
Yeah. So,
okay.
But
give it a watch. Don't give up on it too much, right? It feels like something you could jump in and when. So with Thunderbolt in there, it's like, oh, maybe I'll check that out.
Yeah, and I mean they did a good job with Thunderbolt. I mean, Thunderbolt's a goofy idea to begin with, right? I mean, it's a genie that's locked in a pin, and you have to. The magic word is so cool.
Yeah,
like to get him. I mean, it's kind of a goofy concept to begin with. But I mean, the Eclipso stuff is what's really cool, and like if that pays off, it'll be well worth it.
Okay, all right, I may give that a shot. Otherworld, there's this other show, Hills. What is Hills about? This is Is this another DC show?
No, it's not. It's the follow-up from the Arrowverse, though, for Stephen Amell. So, it's on Starz, and it focuses on a independent wrestling league. And it's set in Georgia, like South Georgia, and so it's in a small town, and they do wrestling shows like on the weekends, and they've got their cast of characters and their competition promotions, like in Florida.
Is it all female wrestlers?
No. I wish Glow was back. Glow was a great show.
I was about to say, it sounded like why. So what is Heels? H-E-E-L, not H-I-L-L, right?
In wrestling, the good guys are called faces, and the bad guys are called heels.
Okay, I did not know that.
And so what it's about is the dad created this wrestling league. He's passed away. His sons are running it now. One son is the face of the organization, kind of like the Hulk Hogan of the organization, and the other son is like the Roddy Piper of the organization, like he's the bad guy. But there's this old adage with wrestling, and it kind of follows up with the wrestler, right? Is that the bad guys, the heels in wrestling, are normally the nice guys, like in real life, right? Because they understand, like they're the ones they're kind of the engine of the whole industry. Like if people show up to watch them get beat,
everybody loves the villain,
not necessarily to watch the good guy win. They tune in to see the bad guy lose.
Gotcha.
And so, and that's what it kind of, in the first episode, it establishes that the brothers that's the hero, the face, is just a piece of shit. And so, and Stephen Amell, who plays the bad guy and the crowd hates, is actually, he's the one that's trying to keep the family together and all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty interesting. What's really interesting with this, which is kind of an extension off of The Wrestler, and this is why I put that on there, Brad, because I thought you would enjoy it, is because it delves into like the psychology around the way they do the storylines. Because the storylines are always there to you got to come back next week. You got to come back next week.
Right.
It's so in the first episode, it's they've been doing this whole thing where Stephen Amell's character is the bad guy and he holds the title, and his brother's been trying to beat him, and they're like, well, I think I should beat you, and he's like, yeah, but then what happens the week after that?
Right.
Like if we end the story and we don't have the story spiral into something else, nobody's going to show up the next week.
Brian is not showing up next week.
Yeah. So it was pretty interesting because it kind of gets into like that sort of psychology about the way they tell the story, and they kind of like daisy chain all the stories along to keep you coming back.
Okay.
So,
and this is on Starz, you said?
It's on Starz. Yep.
Okay. A half hour?
45 minutes.
You're really pushing it, people. My tolerance for shows nowadays are a half hour. So
yeah, first episode is very wrestler-esque. Second episode gets into like some of the family drama. So check out the first episode, and I'll let you know how the third plans out.
All right, very good. Well, hey, more things to check out, and I started watching a little bit of Lois and Clark, or Superman and Lois, whatever that is. Mm-hmm. And I enjoy it. It's he may be my favorite Superman. Never thought I would go back on Henry Cavill, but he may end up being my favorite Superman after all. So there you go.
Yeah, that pilot was really, really strong. Like it came on the other day. Like after we finished Stargirl, it immediately cycled into the CW app, cycled into that, and I got stuck watching the first 20 minutes or so of episode 1, where it's him following him and him in the original suit, the Golden Age suit, and all. So
they do it right. All right. Well, very good. Well, speaking of Golden Age and retro review, I know Podman Ron has been sitting quietly wanting to give us a retro review. Podman Ron, let's go back to what? Early 80s, late 70s? When are we going back here?
We are going back to 1979.
Woof.
To The Black Hole, which I kind of talked about because I bought a couple Black Hole figures a couple of weeks back at MegaCon. And it got me thinking, I haven't seen this movie since it first came out back in 1979 when I was a very young man.
Yeah,
very young boy, actually. And I went and saw
Boy.
this movie, and actually, I hated this movie back then. So I thought, well, maybe, it was 1979, 2 years after Star Wars.
Too deep for you, yeah.
Maybe it was too deep. Maybe I just wasn't appreciative of it. So it's on Disney Plus. So I started watching it, and
why not?
It took 3 nights to get through this movie.
All right, I love it.
Well, first of all, it's going to be horrible when the first 2 minutes of it is just a black screen with the score playing. Just
a little overture type action there?
A little overture going on.
Oh, that's horrible.
2.5 minutes.
You mean like Superman the movie?
Say what?
You mean like Superman the movie? By
exactly, yep. It's just doing an overture like
that's different.
A classic golden film.
So then you get into the movie itself, and it's horrible. I mean, it is not. It's Anthony Perkins. It's Maximilian Schell. Is that his name?
Close enough. Yeah.
Ernest Borgnine.
Yeah, Ernest Borgnine.
Roddy McDowell. You remember Roddy McDowell was the voice of Vincent, which I didn't realize that. But
I can't believe Ernest Borgnine couldn't save this movie.
This movie, the special effects were just awful. It makes you really appreciate, if you watch this movie, like I said, it was 2 years after Star Wars, and you watch this movie, it makes you appreciate how innovative Star Wars was, because Star Wars is like, the special effects still hold out today for the most part. And this looks like schlock from the 60s. I mean, it's just terrible. And then there's not much dialogue in this movie at all. I mean,
that's what I was about to say. I seem to recall that there was a lot of moments of, like 2001-esque type stuff of people just kind of floating around or space, looking at spaceship dials or whatever type stuff, right?
Well, you've got that, and then you've got like their little space battles. They're just running, and the music's blaring in the background, and they're just shooting in these lasers at these robots, and who have no personality and don't talk. I mean, the main bad guy robot's Maximilian. He says nothing. I mean, he looks cool, but he says nothing, and all he does is whirl those little claw hands that don't. I mean, it's
very
awful.
slow. Yeah, the claws themselves moves very fast, like a blender, but the robot moves pretty darn slow.
Well,
I mean, he's kind of like a zombie. You can get away from him.
Towards the end, I mean, I'm watching it. I'm trying to finish it up last night so I can do this podcast with it, and I'm watching it, thinking, when will this end? And I just realized they're like out in space with no helmets or nothing. I mean, they're just they don't need helmets to be in this black hole. I guess there's an atmosphere in it. And
it could be. We don't know.
We don't know. So
I do remember though that this had a hell of an ending, right? This had one of the best endings in cinema. Are you paying attention, Alex?
I didn't find that this was a good ending at all. What was your take on the ending?
Tell us what happened at the ending. I mean,
from what I saw and what I suffered through is they go down this black hole. They go down. Well, first of all, the bad guy, Maximilian Shield, the human bad guy, gets crushed by a flat screen TV, pretty much.
They were very heavy back then.
Well, they were. They're still in the spaceship. He's still in the spaceship. Maximilian is drilled by Vincent and sent out into the black hole. And for some way, somehow, with no explanation, they merge.
Yeah, the human and
and they oversee all these other robots. I mean, and there's no words to any of this. There's no explanation. You don't even know if it's just a dream. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. And then the good guys ship, once they're doing the whole whirly-bird thing, they just go through this church chapel, and then they're heading towards a planet. And that's it. That was it. Roll credits.
I encourage anyone to watch the last 10 minutes of this movie and tell me it's not a cinematic masterpiece.
Well, yeah, and kind of like to PMR's point, like the beginning, they're trying to clone a John Williams beginning, right?
Yeah.
And then they're trying to clone like 2001: A Space Odyssey. Disney, like in the early '80s, they had a major identity crisis.
Right.
Like they didn't have, Walt was dead. Like the animation was not bringing stuff home, and they had a lot of schlock in the 80s, really until like The Little Mermaid came out. Right. Until The Little Mermaid came out, that's when it kind of like, everything kind of started moving in the right direction again. But I was looking at while PMR was talking. So here's some of the films we had in the early 80s from Disney. We had a Herbie Goes Bananas.
Excellent.
Right? Popeye, which I love the Popeye movie.
Popeye is a fantastic movie. And we know you love Popeye movies, whether it's the Frank Connection or the, what's the director? Popeye.
Oh, God.
It's someone famous. I just can't think of the fucking... Well.
Yeah, why am I drawing a blank on it, too?
Anyway, the Popeye...
Robert Altman. It's Robert Altman.
Yeah, Altman movie.
But I love the music in Popeye.
Yes.
But, it didn't do well. Then you've got Condor Man.
I love Condor Man.
I thought Condor Man was the shit.
Yeah.
The Devil and Max Devlin.
Hold on a second. Condor Man's not on Disney Plus yet, is it? We need to look that shit up.
I don't know.
I would love to fast forward through that movie. I don't want to watch the whole thing.
I loved Condor Man. Yeah, we need to find out if it's on there. But yeah, there's a lot of really. You had Return to Witch Mountain and Something Wicked This Way Comes and stuff. So it's like you had a lot of Disney stuff that just never really landed in the 80s. And that's, they didn't know who they were. They were trying to clone other films, but still kind of Disney-fy them.
Right.
Well, the interesting thing about this, which I didn't know, I kind of read up on it because I was curious. You would think because it was in 79, it was a space movie that they did it, and like you said, was trying to copy other things. So you thought maybe they were trying to copy Star Wars, but this movie began in 1973 as a disaster movie. This is what they wanted. This was they were going towards the disaster genre that was very popular back in the early 70s, like Towering Inferno,
Poseidon,
Airport, and Poseidon Adventure. This was that, but on a space station. And that's what they were going for, but they just kept doing rewrites, and then Star Wars came out. And, so
I got a new idea.
2001, The Space Odyssey came out in 68.
Yeah, but that wasn't really a disaster movie. This is they were trying to go for the disaster movie genre. That was, like I said, it was like early 70s to mid 70s. But they said by the time they started getting this thing finally off the ground, A, Star Wars had come out, and B, the disaster movie genre had started to dip. That wasn't as popular anymore.
But it's safe to say, Podman Ron, that the mission accomplished. If they wanted to make a disaster movie, they did. They did okay.
Yeah, no doubt. But I will say this: out of this movie, other than I love the robots because I'm a robot guy. I just like robots. The music is pretty damn good. I don't know, whoever did the score for this movie, it's not a bad score.
All right.
It's pretty good. So if you get anything out of it, it's the score and a hard on for the robots. So.
The image
when
of the
I say
end
the
of it,
robots, I mean just the two main robots.
Vincent and old Bob.
The rest of them are kind of silly.
You've inspired me. I'm definitely going to go check out the last 10 minutes of it because I remember not as a kid, but seeing it at some point or another. Kind of fast forwarding through it, I do remember that ending that made no sense. It's like, what the fuck is going on with this ending? It makes no sense whatsoever, but I kind of love it. So there you go.
Yeah, it made no sense. It's like they just went, how you want to end it? I don't know. Just throw some shit together and move on. And that's pretty much what they did. I would not recommend. This movie. So sad. It is. There's no way. Like I said, I'm not exaggerating when I said it took 3 nights. I fell asleep the first night. The second night I had to turn it off because it was just so boring. And like I said, I powered through it last night just to get through it. So it's a bad movie.
We admire your dedication to the podcast on that.
There you go. There you go.
And another disappointing note, Condor Man is still not on Disney Plus.
Yeah, I can't believe that. I looked at some of the stills of it, and it's like, oh, my God, that looks so fucking bad. It's got to be He's going to be.
We used to love Condor Man when we were kids.
Oh my God! Yeah, I sewed a little Condor Man costume for my Jaw action figure. I loved it so much.
You did.
Yeah,
I'm with you. I loved Condor Man.
Yeah, I mean it's got to be horrible though, right? It's got to be as bad.
Oh,
as,
surely.
We need to watch Condor Man and what the John Ritter movie, the Hero.
Hero at Large.
Hero at Large. We got to watch that at some point. We're going to find that.
Also.
Again, I think we remember those as being. Although, hey, John Ritter. Everybody loves John Ritter, right?
Who doesn't love John Ritter? I mean, come on.
Everybody loves John Ritter. All right, well, let's just let's see. It looks like we got a little bit of stuff going on into what you looking at. What you looking at? Well, I just got back from vacation, so I ain't looking at. I have not looked at anything recently. But Brian, I think you were looking at something, a movie that I almost put on the streaming wheel after Podman Ron gave me Red Dot, the Norwegian redneck horror movie. I was going to try to be cutesy and stick with the red theme with Blood Red Sky. I didn't do it. But Brian, you watched it anyway.
I watched it anyway, and honestly, you probably should have.
Wow.
Have you watched it?
I have not. Give us a synopsis.
So,
of this German movie.
Netflix is bad about, it's like they buy the movie, and then they don't really know how to promote the movie correctly, because there should be a twist in this movie. But the descriptor doesn't really tell you what's going to happen. But then, like, when you see the header come up when you're about to launch the movie and there's a giant vampire there,
right,
you realize, wait, Blood Red Sky, it's a vampire on a plane, right?
Yeah.
So, but it was really good. I think that what I enjoyed the best of it's this director, and I need to see who he is, should probably, if Ridley Scott is looking to make another Aliens movie, this guy should probably do it. Because there was a lot of like alien kind of tension and like kind of square off things happen in the movie, and I was like, man, this feels like an Aliens type movie. Like as I'm watching it, so I'm interested if you watch if any of you guys watch it, you get the same vibe. But essentially, what happens is you think this woman is flying to the U.S. I think they're leaving from like Denmark or somewhere.
Okay, I was about to say this is a foreign movie, right?
It's a foreign movie. What's weird is they cast Graham McTavish, who played Saint of Killers in Preacher.
Yeah.
And he's on Outlander. They cast so they put like English speaking actors in the film, and I don't know if they did that post production or what. Okay. But they've also got Dominic Purcell, who plays Heatwave on Legends of Tomorrow, right? And he was on Prison Break.
Yep.
So essentially, they're on a plane flying to America to get some sort of treatment, and you think she's going to get cancer treatment, right? And they talk about blood, bone marrow, and stuff like that. And while they're on the plane, and they're talking about the flight's getting delayed, and she's talking about her schedule, and they're going to arrive at night, and this kind of thing. And you don't realize, well, she's needing to arrive at night because she can't disembark the plane, right? If she's a vampire in the sunlight. So, but then terrorists take over the plane, and you don't really know what their plot is. But one of the terrorists shoots her, and it starts off the chain of events, because then she has to drink blood in order to survive.
Right. And
then where she drinks the blood, like they realize she's a vampire, and slowly but surely everything just spirals out of control while they're on the plane. It's I think it was really, really good. It's foreign language. It's dubbed. But I think part of the thing I like best about it is she's a Nosferatu vampire. It's not a Twilight vampire. She's the full on pointed ears,
creepy looking.
Yeah, that creepy looking. Yeah. Okay. Nosferatu. So I really enjoyed this movie. It was good, and basically it starts with the plane landing, and they think it's just been hijacked, and so you've got the military saying, come out of the plane, release the hostages, all that kind of stuff. And the whole thing is, well, I don't want to spoil it, but even that was pretty neat, the way it kind of snaps together at the end. So the Blood Red Sky, I'd give it a 4-star.
Oh, yeah. I forgot to get PMR's rating on Black Hole, but so 4 stars. Okay. I think I will watch this. It's on my list of things to do. I will probably watch the Bob Ross documentary that just came out today beforehand, but, we'll check out Blood Red Sky. Podman Ron, is it safe to say for Black Hole you're going to give it a 1?
Yeah, that'd be
okay.
Good,
I figured as much.
But
all right, well.
Safe bet.
Now, I do have a retro review.
Yeah.
So, have we already moved past retro reviews?
We have. We will do. And welcome back to the retro review.
No, there you go. Look at that.
There you go, the retro review. So, I found something. I don't know why this popped into my head, but it popped into my head. I went and found it. And now that I mention it, I got a feeling PMR is going to want to go find this and watch it as well.
What movie is that?
It's not a movie.
Uh-oh.
It's a television show from 2006.
2006.
What was going on?
It's
It's
right at the height of reality television. The Sci-Fi Network tapped on the shoulder of Marvel's
oh my God!
President Emeritus.
Yes,
Stan Lee. I remember this show.
And they created Who Wants to Be a Superhero?
Yes,
that was so sad.
It was. I watched that.
It's 2006, so it's right at the cusp of everything.
It was around 2010. I didn't know it was that. God.
No, it's 2006, so it's right before Iron Man and everything blew up,
wow.
right?
And where did you find this at?
It's on Sci-Fi, the free Sci-Fi app.
All right.
You can download it and watch it. There was 2 seasons.
I was going to say, wasn't there 2 seasons to that?
Yeah, there was 2 seasons, and the stakes were if you won, Stan Lee would draw you into a comic book.
Right. Draw.
He can't draw.
And then we'll write you into a comic book. But he would write you into a comic book from BAM Studios,
right,
or PAL Studios. Whichever, but then Sci-Fi made a TV movie of the week about the winner.
That. Yeah,
right. So this is the whole thing. It's like, so not only am I trying to watch it, I'm trying to suffer through this, and I don't know. It's not really suffering because it's so like god awful. It's great. I want to power through it all the way up to watching the TV movie.
Yeah.
But this is the synopsis from the finale of season 1, just to kind of give you a teaser of what this is. The 3 finalists had their potential comic book cover shown to them. Then they had the challenge to getting a school of children to vote for them after telling them their origin story. Mm-hmm. Fat Mama, who was one of the superheroes, Fat Mama won the children's vote. The next challenge was to track down the Dark Enforcer at Universal City Walk via planned clues, with Major Victory winning. Fat Mama wanted to quit as she felt feedback deserved it more, but was convinced to stick it out by the other 2. Major Victory was then eliminated. Feedback won the first season over Fat Mama. The top 3 winner feedback runner-up was Fat Mama, Major Victory, and Feedback. Feedback got a figure made, or the top 3 got figures made by Shocker Toys. And then Feedback appeared in the 2007 sci-fi film Mega Snake.
Mega Snake.
But that wasn't the movie, though, or was that the movie?
That was the movie.
That was the movie.
They made it sound like it was going to be a movie about
feedback. Yeah, okay.
But instead, he was featured in Mega Snake.
Gotcha.
And I got to tell you, like, it's the setup of this show is. They're in the costume. They're all having to live in this house together. Right. It'll be stuff like go change in a phone booth discreetly into your costume.
Right. That's
stuff
the
like
challenge,
that.
Yeah.
And then at the end of every episode, Stan Lee comes on like the Donald Trump character and then fires a superhero.
Right.
And man, it is. It's gold.
All right.
It's so bad.
I vaguely remember it.
Yeah, I watched it, so I need to go back and. Alex, you need to watch that. I don't know if you watched it with me back in the day. You may have. You were like,
you probably don't remember.
I don't remember it.
That's probably the right target audience too. Is about 5.
I haven't made it there yet. I haven't made it into their backstory, but I think when you find out Feedback's origin story, his dad like killed himself or something. It's like it ping pongs between like this is absurd to this is really dark to
right. Yeah, it seemed
so
like that
bizarre.
because the contestants would make up their own history and all that stuff. So it was, I think to your point, some of them would be like, oh, well, I was abused as a kid, so now I'm the, anti-abuser or something like that type stuff.
Yeah.
It's like,
my uncle touched me when I was little, so now I'm no touchy.
now I'm the porcupine.
The porcupine. It's like shit like that. It's like, oh, this is funny. Oh, that's really fucking dark. And it's like you.
And Stanley's got to listen to
laughing at it.
That's great.
Well, they
love
gave
the
2 seasons
porcupine.
with it, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't think the season 2 had any real prizes, though, from what I gather. So
they're a few minutes of fame. You should look at each
I
one
was
of
going
them.
to say,
It
doesn't sound like season 1 had any prizes either. So.
But yeah, you download the Sci-Fi app. It's a free app. Connect it to you just sign in with your cable service, and both seasons are on the Sci-Fi app.
All right.
So,
I would be more interested in finding out where these people are now. I mean, that was 15 years ago. I mean, where are these people?
Feedback's on the street of Hollywood and right outside of Man's Theater. You can get a picture
real
with them.
story.
what was that show, Timeless, a few years back on NBC? But Feedback actually appeared on Timeless.
Oh.
Like, he's got some actual IMDb credits at this point.
Well, some of these people were just actors anyway, and they just wanted to get on a show. So, yeah, I get that.
The fallacy of reality TV, Podman Ron has broke it open completely here.
That's it, man.
Yeah.
It's all not true.
There was Cell Phone Girl, Nitro G. Oh, in the first episode, if you remember this, Rodiart was one of the characters, and he was a plant by Stan Lee. To find out if they were in the competition for the right reasons. And so the first episode they revealed that Rodiart was a plant, and he tells Stan like who should get eliminated.
Wow.
So
all right, lots of controversy there. I'll have to go back and relive those fond memories from 2006. All right, well, I've got a lot of catching up to do, and I do want to catch up with Titans. We didn't talk about that. I know, Brian, you watched it. Alex, PMR, are you guys going to stick with Titans? I know you guys were maybe a little bit sketchy about it.
I binged the first 4. I still need to watch episode 5, but it's still a pile of dog shit, but it's more entertaining dog shit. I guess.
All right. A higher quality dog shit.
Yeah. It's like the emoji dog shit instead of actual dog shit.
PMR?
Yeah, I agree with Alex on this only because it's really weird. I don't think I've ever saw a show that is such a train wreck and just terrible acting and just goofy plots, but I'm just drawn to it.
But
it's
you
just
like it.
weird. It's like, I guess because they've done such a kind of a decent job of making these characters kind of fit some of the comics that
Right.
and it hits some of the beats of the story that part's entertaining, but then I don't know. It's just hard to explain. It's a weird combo.
I love watching in slow motion. It's fantastic.
You love watching who in slow motion?
I love watching train wrecks in slow motion.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's just, I love the first episode. The first episode was great.
Yeah.
The second episode was decent, and then I feel like the third and fourth episode just went off the rails.
well,
Bad, but it has enough charm to it
Yeah.
that I'm like, I'll stick around. I don't mind. Like, it's not like I'm not going out of my way to I'm not enjoying myself. Like, I'm having a fun time. I also am able to recognize that I won't recommend this to anyone ever. Like, I'm not going to tell someone you should really watch Titans. Because no, you shouldn't. Don't hurt yourself. But I'm having fun.
I watched the 5th episode, and the 5th episode is really kind of like it flashes back, and you kind of see how Red Hood got to where he's at this point.
Okay.
And it was honestly probably the strongest episode. It's none of the Titans appear in it other than Red Hood and there's a cameo, but
Ooh.
and then
Batman.
but it's a lot of Red Hood and Batman. And so you get to see this version of Batman a lot. And honestly, I like the dynamic between the two. Like I appreciate him more as a Batman after episode 5 than I did before. And I kind of liked him before, but, Leslie Thompson is there. Episode 5 is a really solid episode. Episode 4, however, there was one thing I noticed. I kept getting the creepy vibe every time they talked about that cabin in the woods. And so there's this cabin, and basically Dick takes Scarecrow there because he's trying to lure out Red Hood to come after Scarecrow. And so it's just this cabin out in the woods, and Scarecrow's like, well, why would Robin, why would Red Hood come for us here? He goes, oh, well, Bruce brought me here, and he brought Jason here to train.
He brings them all.
Weird.
So he brings them out into this cabin in the woods, and then about 3/4 of the way through the episode, it dawned on me there's only one bed.
Uh-oh.
Did you guys notice that?
I didn't notice that, but it did have a creepy vibe.
There's only one bed because it's all just one room, and it's like, oh, there's one bed. There's nowhere else to sleep.
Bruce.
Yeah, it did have a creepy vibe to it. So, well, I thought what was stupid about that 4th episode was the whole Black Star. She was in prison even after she was going to kill Starfire at the end of season 2, and then all of a sudden she's in this prison. It doesn't even touch on the fact about her going after Starfire. She's just all of a sudden in this prison, and then Starfire just breaks her out of this prison, decides that, you know what, I don't want her to be in prison anymore, so I'm just going to break her out, and she's just going to hang around with us now. It's just...
Yeah, I feel like that was
terrible writing.
It was a consolation prize to the actress that plays Coriander, right? And it's like, oh, you're going to have this whole episode, or you're going to have an episode where it focuses on your story arc, and it's like, that was it. So it's like they had this dangling thread about Blackfire, and it's like, okay, now it's over. And she got her episode, because the episode before that, you kind of had like Beast Boy's episode, where he got to like have his tantrum. And then, so it's it's all the Batman show at this point.
Yeah, the best thing is, and I've said it since he premiered, I really like this Batman. He always just reminds me of the brave and bold Batman from the cartoon. He reminds me of what Adam West probably would have been if he was a little bit of a tougher Batman. It's just I just like this actor playing an older Batman.
For me, he's kind of an amalgam between the Adam West Batman and kind of like the Neil Adams Batman. That's the kind of the vibe I get. Like, he's not even like the slender sort of frame. I can see him look in costume looking like the Neil Adams Batman.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I like him. I like him a lot. I think that's great casting on their part with him. I hope they stick around. I guess we'll never see him in a costume, but it would be kind of cool to see him in a costume.
All right, well, that's just one more fucking show I got to catch up with, I guess. Podman Ron, are you heading out for a coffee break, buddy, at 11:30 at night?
No, I got to be out of the dorm at. I got to be.
You got to get the hell out of there. I don't blame you.
Yeah, I got to get the hell out. So.
All right. Well, speaking of getting the hell out, I think we need to be getting the hell out of there. Because again, I got a lot of stuff to catch up on. So Shang-Chi comes out next Thursday, next Friday, something like that.
Yeah, it's next Friday.
All right.
The 3rd.
I'm not so sure I'll go see it, but
we'll go see it. Hey, Brad, go with Alex. Will be in town.
Oh,
you should go with us Saturday morning. We'll go early Saturday morning.
That may be a possibility.
All right.
Hey, by the way, is anybody planning on attending Dragon Con?
I don't know. When is it? Labor Day weekend also?
It's Labor Day weekend. The big one, though, is Chris Claremont.
Are you coming up?
No.
I don't know. Alex, are you going to be home for Labor Day?
Labor Day is next week. And
oh, okay. So it's the same weekend that Shang-Chi opens?
Shang-Chi, yeah.
Whatever. All right. I may go if Alex wants to go.
Only if Alex goes.
So,
I go, we all go.
Nah. All right. Well, I think Alex is falling asleep here, so get your rest. Rest up for Shang-Chi. But until next time, Brian?
Let's save it for the podcast.